Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 616, and today's date is March 14th, 2015, and the title of this episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief for Saturday. Now, before I get started, I just wanted to thank all those people who donated to the X22 Report. I really do appreciate, I am very grateful for it, and thank you very much. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, we understand that Obama is out there, and he is trying to federalize the police department ever since Ferguson, and we see that starting to build up once again with these cop shootings, and we see that the main objective is to bring the local law enforcement under the control of the federal government. And they need to do this because they want the police to be their eyes and ears and spy on every single person. And we can see right now the reason they're doing this is to have these police departments collect information on the citizens. And right now what we're seeing is Jim Fitzgerald of the National Field Director for the John Birch Society says alarm bells should be ringing over this federal oversight of local police agencies. These steps to exercise and take control over the police departments should raise red flags among police officials and give deep concern to anyone who understands the history of national police forces. And he goes on to say that, remember the Gestapo. Remember KGB, both national police agencies. They terrorized the citizens of Germany and Russia and led to the imprisonment and deaths of tens of thousands of innocent men and women. The national police force does not benefit the citizen. It does not help the everyday person. What it does, it helps the government people to control the people, to find out what they're doing. I mean, we saw this in Ukraine when the Ukrainian government, which is the puppet government that was put into place by the United States government central bankers, they went to the local police precincts in the southeastern region, and they wanted the police to capture people's names on a list of who would be a problem and then hand them over. And this was in the early stages when all of this was going down, when the coup was happening, when the people in Crimea were saying, listen, we don't want to be part of Ukraine, when the southeastern people were scratching their heads saying, you know something, we don't want to be part of this puppet government either. This is what was happening at this time, and we can see they're pushing the same thing here in the United States. They want the police not to be independent, but controlled by the federal government. And what are they doing? To convince them to do this, they're giving them money. And this is exactly what they do. They give them tanks, they give them surveillance equipment, they give them cash. And once they start receiving this, there's no way out of it. They want more and more of it, and they will do whatever they have to keep the money flowing, even though they know it is wrong to do. Now, we understand the United States government central bankers through the CIA. They run black sites all over the world. And we see Chicago is a black site inside the United States. And there are many, many others. We just haven't learned about them yet. But what's happening is the United Nations investigators has accused the U.S. of blocking access to prisons, including state and federal facilities where an estimated 80,000 people are in solitary confinement, and the military prison at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. And they want to go into this prison to make sure that everything is on the up and up. And he's saying that he rejects the offer by the U.S. authorities to visit Guantanamo Bay because he's saying they're not letting him into every area of the prison, only to the area they want him to go. They will not let him speak to prisoners. And he is not allowed to be unmonitored. And we can see right now, this is not in compliance in what they need to do. And he continually makes requests back to the United States, and as of right now, they're not responding. There's something there that they're trying to hide. And of course, we have to remember most of these people that are in this prison, and this is why it's outside of the United States, because it doesn't apply. The Constitution, the laws here really don't apply to these black sites. That's why they call them black sites. This is part of the 10 steps closing down the society. They first set one up outside of the country, and then we see them pop up inside the country. And right now, a lot of these people have not been convicted at all of any crime whatsoever, but they're tortured, they're kept in prison, and we can see right now they must be hiding something because they don't want them to speak to the UN monitor. We see in Lithuania that there is a black site in that country. And right now, the Speaker of the Lithuania Parliament announced Friday that there will be no inquiry into the alleged presence of a secret CIA prison in the country. The inquiry was sparked by a U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee report on the Central Intelligence Agency detention and interrogation program. And as of right now, they're saying, yeah, we have no push from anywhere to go ahead and take a look to see if something like this is actually happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if this country is being paid off to look the other way. Now, Germany wants Russia to comply with the Ukraine peace deal before they ease sanctions. They're saying, listen, Russia has to comply with every single step of the Minsk agreement. And we want to link the sanctions to this. But the thing is, Russia has nothing to do with this. This is the southeastern people and the Ukrainian government. And we see from everything that's been going on is that the Ukrainian government is not keeping their end of the bargain. And it's funny, it's only one-sided. If Russia keeps everything and the Ukrainian side, which is controlled by the United States government central bankers, does not keep up their end, what are the consequences? There are none. And they're continually putting it out there that, ooh, Russia must do this. Russia is the one that created the peace agreement. And they are doing everything they possibly can to follow it. And we can see right now, the Kiev government, which is the puppet government of the United States government central bankers, they're cleaning house. 7 high-profile suicides have been recorded, and they've been taking place month after month. Alexander Peklishenko, hopefully I didn't botch his name, committed suicide at his home, charged in connection with a cracking down of the Euromaidan protests. Mikhail Chechetov died after falling from his window in his apartment. This sounds like the bankers that are just vanishing and having these strange accidents. The same thing's happening in Kiev. They're getting rid of all those people who were part of the old government. And we're seeing that Kiev is actually not sticking to the Minsk agreement. They have not completed the withdrawal of the heavy weapons from the contact line. They moved some of them back about 12 to 18 miles. They have not reported any of this to the OSCE, that they've completed it. And Russia, the southeastern people, are scratching their heads going, they're really not in compliance with the Minsk agreement. Organization of meeting of contact groups is not really going to happen right now, coming from the Donetsk area, saying that it is senseless until Kiev adopts the document of territories in Donbass, which will apply special status to the regions in that area, in Donetsk and Lugansk. According to item number 4 of the Minsk agreements, Kiev agreed that within a 30-day period of time, Ukraine's parliament would adopt a draft law on a special political and economic status for certain parts in Donbass by March 14th. Well, here it is. We're in March 4th. Today's March 14th, and they haven't done it as of yet, because there have been no meetings set up whatsoever on the 13th or the 14th. And if they don't comply with this, they're in violation of the Minsk agreement. Now, of course, they're going to turn this around and say, Russia is to blame. Russia is the problem. The southeastern people are the problem. But actually, no. It is Kiev. Actually, Kiev is continually firing upon the Donetsk and Lugansk people. They haven't really supplied their reports to the OSCE, so they're doing everything they possibly can to violate the Minsk agreement and start this war any way they possibly can. We see that more military assets are being brought in, of course, for drills, and we see NATO tanks arrive for military exercise in Estonia. U.S. Abrams tanks and paratroopers have arrived at a military base in the town of Tapa in Estonia for the upcoming exercises. This is going to happen on May 4th to the 15th. The code name is Hedgehog 2015. The exercise will employ about 13,000 Estonian troops as well as American forces stationed in that country. So we can see right now, and as we know, every time they bring in military assets into each one of these countries, it just so happens that the troops, the military assets, just happen to stay in these countries for a much longer period of time. Now, out in the Middle East, we understand that Yemen, Libya, Lebanon, all falling apart. The governments are having a major problem. And I'm talking about the puppet governments that were put there into these countries by the U.S. government central bankers. They are being thrown out. And the new people, the new government from the people, they are creating their own governments. Now, of course, the United States government central bankers are not going to like this. They don't want this to occur. And we can see already they're making plans to go into Lebanon, Libya, and Yemen to fight the Islamic State. We also see that they're trying to create an illusion right now that the people are rising up against the people who've taken over the country. And this is especially happening in Yemen, where they're trying to get people out there protesting, trying to push the agenda that, yeah, we don't want this new government. We want the old government. And this is how they're trying to have regime change once again, because the president of Yemen was completely thrown out. The people there created their own government. They've taken over everything that's going on there. The same thing's happening in Libya. And again, the United States government central bankers don't want this to happen because they're losing control. Now, we see additional warnings right now that a false flag event could occur. And we have to remember the authorization for war is pending in the Congress. And right now they're leaning to the opposite view of what Kerry, Ashton, Carter want. And like I said, we might see something occur. Maybe not here in the United States, maybe someplace out in the Middle East, in Europe, or maybe in the United States. We have no idea what their exact plan is. But we see warnings coming out of the government. And they're saying that Western oil workers in Saudi Arabia risk being attacked or kidnapped by terrorists. The U.S. Embassy is giving warnings right now. They posted it online, and they're saying that everyone should be careful of their surroundings and what they're doing. And we have to remember that Saudi Arabia has been taking part in the U.S.-led airstrikes against the Islamic State. So we can see they are building up for something to occur, because here is another warning, and every time they have a warning, something usually happens. And of course, they're saying that all U.S. citizens are encouraged to be aware of their surroundings, like I said, and take extra precautions when traveling throughout the country. And we can see that this could be a build-up for something to happen. Maybe they'll have a small terrorist operation inside Saudi Arabia, maybe near the embassy of the United States, to convince the people in Congress that, look, the Islamic State is already attacking Saudi Arabia, our friends, our allies, and it's getting worse, and you need to pass the authorization for war, because wherever they are, the United States needs to go. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.